Success and glory is to get education both at individual and national level. Education system of Pakistan, is it delivering? No nation can claim to be sovereign and independent in the true sense unless its population is educated and literate. An uneducated populace can neither understand national interest nor can play an active role in nation building. The only way to gain success and glory is to get education both at individual and national level. Pakistan came into being on the 14th of August 1947, and since that day, our successive governments focused on defense needs of the country as the first priority because our eastern border was quite vulnerable to Indian aggression. So, it was the need of the hour to raise a strong defense force to counter the nefarious designs of the enemy against dear motherland. For this, every government allocated huge funds from the budget to meet the defense requirements of the country. As a result, from day one, the government was compelled to shift its focus on the defense of the country, neglecting the foremost need of the country to adequately educate the people of the country. Article 25A of Constitution of Pakistan requires the state to provide free and compulsory quality education to children from 5 to 16 years of age. The state shall provide free and compulsory education to all children of the age of 5 to 16 years in such a manner as may be determined by law. In Pakistan, there are three education systems that run parallel to one another. First is government-run education system where children from middle or lower middle class are educated. Second is private education system, also known as English medium institutions, where children from elite class are educated. Third one is madrasa education system where children from marginalized or poor classes are educated. These three disparate education systems are producing students with different thinking and ideologies which are to a great extent in clash with one another. For example, those who are educated from elite or English medium institutions are labeled as liberal and agents of the West, while those who are educated from madrasas are dubbed as fundamentalists and extremists. A country which has not a uniformed education policies and system will take the consequences in shape of rising tides of anarchy, chaos, fanaticism, sectarianism and extremism, as is witnessed in Pakistan on daily basis. The government of Pakistan has failed to implement a uniformed education system all through the country, and as a result, we see mushrooming growth of educational institutions beyond the purview of the state policies. It is sad and tragic to note that our education system is creating divides, injustice and inequality in the society instead of acting as a catalyst for unification of the society. Our successive governments have failed to realize the importance and power of an educated society which will automatically reach the pinnacle of glory and success. On the one hand, our state education is very miserable and pathetic, and on the other hand, the state could not enforce a uniform education system which has resulted in the feelings of ethnicity, provincialism and racism. Our education system could not cultivate the feelings of unity and harmony in the society. Today, we are at each other's throats at the drop of a hat. We have subordinated national interest to racial, ethnic, provincial or individual interest. Our federating units are at daggers drawn over small and petty matters. Sadly speaking, our nation stands directionless and aimless. We are victimized by vested interests. Our precious national resources are plundered by foreign powers and we have turned a blind eye towards them. All this happens only because our masses are largely illiterate and ignorant. Unless and until we reform our education system and policies, Pakistan will keep lagging behind in the comity of advanced and developed nations. We will have to enforce a uniformed education system for the whole country. We will have to promote our national language as a tool for change. The government should declare education emergency and allocate maximum resources for educating the nation. Once we achieve 100% literacy rate, our economy and defense will automatically be strengthened. Pakistan's justice system, success or failure. Since our school-going years, we have been familiar with maxims like these: justice delayed is justice denied. Do justice even if heaven falls. Justice keeps balance and order in a society and gears it towards prosperity and progress. While an unjust society cannot even imagine to prosper and progress because it collapses sooner or later due primarily to its unjust order and practices. Pakistan inherited its legal justice system from the British after partition of the subcontinent into two independent states, namely Pakistan and India. The British kept their rule on the premise of divide and rule, and most of the policies revolved round this premise as a cornerstone. In Pakistan, the Supreme Court of Pakistan constitutionally is the highest body of justice system and is responsible for regulating the legal justice system of the country. It is the final authority to which appeals can be filed, and its judgment is considered constitutionally and legally absolute and final. No appeal can be filed against its decision and its verdict cannot be challenged. There are other lower courts, namely provincial courts and then session courts, which dispense justice at the lower level. In Pakistan, people seem, to a large extent, dissatisfied with the legal justice system of the country. They have to buy justice at high cost, and that too, after a long patient wait and delay. The litigants are mostly illiterate people, and our justice system affords no opportunity for these poor souls to get cheap justice, and as a result, they are fleeced by lawyers who capitalize on any opportunity to mint money. Through continuous and nagging adjournment motions, the cases are drawn to such an extent that the original petitioners generally pass away and the descendants follow these cases endlessly. In any justice system, the role of police is both crucial and vital. In our country, the very sight of a policeman draws hatred and derision from the public. Pakistani police is heavily politicized and generally geared to serve the political bosses. Our police department is notorious for inefficiency, corruption and toadyism. If you have first-hand experience of going to a police station, you would know the hassles involved in the process of getting info registered. First, you would enter the premises of a police station fearing the guards appointed at the entrance. The very look of these officials arouses a sense of fear and a feeling that you yourself may be locked in jail at any moment. You would beg them to inform you whether the show is present in the station or not, and in many cases you would have to grease the palm of these dutiful officials to get access to the show. After meeting the show, you would narrate your hard luck story and would want fur registered. If your opposing party is an influential one, you would cry in the wilderness for getting the fur filed. The show will pressurize you to shun the case and force you to compromise on some give and take. It happens in murder and other serious cases where the accused is likely to get hanged or serve life imprisonment. In civil courts, the situation is worse. A maxim goes in our courts that, to get justice, litigants should hire a good judge instead of a good lawyer. The poor and uneducated strata of our society is the most hit and marginalized class. They have to spend lifetime savings as fees for lawyers to buy justice. In a county where people have to buy justice and litigants have to wait for generations for the final settlement of the cases, such a society sooner or later nosedives into abyss of decadence and degeneration. The above-mentioned situation paints a very gloomy picture of our justice system, which has been unsuccessful to deliver as per needs and aspirations of the public. Here are some suggestions to reform and streamline our justice system. Firstly, our police department should be depoliticized and purged of corrupt elements. The police should be modernized and equipped with latest technology to detect criminals successfully. Secondly, our police should be brought up with moral training. They should consider themselves as public servants and not masters. Thirdly, our court system needs judicial reforms. Cases should be heard on merit and there should be a specific time frame for the settlement of cases. Cases should not linger on for generations. Fourthly, the government should set up a free judicial assistance service which will ensure to provide legal help to those poor litigants who cannot afford exorbitant fees of lawyers. Fifthly, the government should set up more courts at district and tehsil level to provide cheap and speedy justice at grassroots level. The curse of dowry. Dowry means property or money brought by a bride to her husband. It is a custom prevalent in almost all societies of the world. This custom, which has turned into a curse, has spread its tentacles alarmingly to the detriment of the marginalized classes of the world. Many young girls belonging to poor classes either remain unmarried or, even if they get married, are ill-treated by their in-laws for not bringing enough dowries with them. We hear and read many cases of young brides getting burnt alive, forced to commit suicide, or getting divorced only because they could not afford to bring big dowry with them. In the present age, this menace has assumed alarming proportions and the situation calls for urgent steps to its solution. In the following paragraphs we shall try to trace the origin and spread of dowry in different parts of the world and present proposals and suggestions to its effective redressal at the end. It is a misconception that the custom of dowry originated in upper caste Hindu families. This custom is found to a large extent in many parts of the world. It has spread more abominably in the countries of the subcontinent like India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, etc. Although, in India dowry has been declared unlawful in 1961, yet there is no let-up in this curse to date. According to National Crime Records Bureau in India, a bride is burnt for dowry every 58 minutes. In Pakistan, the situation is also very dismal and appalling. Pakistan also has a law regarding dowry like the West Pakistan Dowry Act, which was enforced in 1967. But, this law was replaced by the Dowry and Bridal Gift Restriction Act 1976. This act has jurisdiction over all the citizens of Pakistan. It stipulates that the value of dowry should not go beyond 5,000 rupees. Moreover, Clause 7 of the Act provides that the list of dowry items should be exhibited and communicated to the marriage registrar. The sad part of the story is that Pakistan, being a Muslim-dominant country, is not immune to this menace. There is no concept of dowry in Islam. Some people, out of ignorance, may point out that the Holy Prophet, PBUH, also gave dowry to his daughter, Hazrat Fatima, R.A., when she was married to Hazrat Ali, R.A. The fact of the matter is that this dowry included very simple household items of daily use and not very costly things. And there is no record or evidence that the Holy Prophet, PBUH, gave dowry to his other daughters at the time of their marriage. In Pakistani Muslim society, this evil is so deeply rooted that nowadays it has taken the shape of a lucrative business. People are often found desirous of marrying the sons from those families that can afford to give sizable amount of dowry. How tragic it is that most often a girl's personal qualities and qualifications are simply eclipsed and ignored when it is discovered that she belongs to a poor family and would not bring huge dowry. Hence, her prospects of marriage are diminished and she stands rejected most often. This menace leaves deep psychological scars on the victims, especially young girls belonging to poor strata of society. The question automatically and naturally arises as to how long this cruelty and diseased mentality will continue to take its toll on poor souls. How long will we seal our lips to bow to this monster? Now is the time to stand up against this menace. Here are a few steps to reverse this monstrous trend. First of all, our educated lot should come forward and take the initiative to bring an end to this custom. Boys belonging to elite families should lead the way by refusing to accept dowry from their would-be wives. This courageous step will set the trend to be followed by others. Secondly, the government can act as a catalyst to ensure that anti-dowry laws are strictly followed by all and sundry. Our moneyed class should play a proactive role by encouraging simplicity and austerity in the society. The masses may take lesson and may emulate this trend. The above-mentioned steps, if implemented in true letter and spirit, will pave the way for the removal of this curse and will bring revolution in the society, and countless daughters of the poor will be saved from suffering mental trauma and agony. Their lives will be transformed into an oasis of happiness and conjugal bliss. Economic challenges faced by Pakistan. What are major economic challenges being faced by Pakistan? What measures do you recommend to address it? Introduction. Pakistan's economic woes are old and complex. These woes have kept the country in global economic dependence. Among major challenges which the economy of Pakistan faces include failure to collect income tax, corruption, unchecked behavior of profit mafia, and debt traps. What is economic challenge? Economic challenge refers to any sort of disorder, malpractice, or misuse in financial matters. At the level of state, this term usually means when government repeatedly fails to strengthen nation's economy. Economic challenges of Pakistan. Pakistan is facing following prominent economic challenges in the contemporary state of affairs. Revenue collection. No state can thrive economically unless it vigilantly takes care of its revenue collection. By revenue collection, it is primarily meant the collection of different kinds of taxes. Pakistan's government is effectively collecting levies like sales tax, withholding tax, registration fees, but it fails to collect income tax to the required level. There are two reasons behind this woe. Citizens of Pakistan are not accustomed to pay income tax. The majority of Pakistani citizens are outside the tax net. Being out of tax net has not been practically subjected to strict actions. Corruption. The second major economic challenge in Pakistan is corruption. The term corruption is usually taken in economic sense. It refers to the act of stealing public money using the illegal tactics of bribery. Corruption is the fact that can be termed as mother of all economic challenges of Pakistan. This is because corruption nullifies the effect of revenue collection, its spending on public and recollecting it back from citizens. Corruption in Pakistan is mostly associated with high-rank public servants, lower-rank public employees, politicians, and military generals alike. Behind the reasons of surge in corruption are absence of moral fiber and lack of understanding about the sacredness of public money. Rule of profiteers. Governments in Pakistan are mostly dominated by the rich class of profiteers who maintain political influence in the constituencies through the money they possess. They use the money to keep citizens as loyal voters. It will not be wrong to state that voters remain commodity bought by the profiteer politician. When such profiteers and capitalists dominate government, they tend to make or mold economic policies in a way that benefits them more, thus leaving little outcome for the people in general. This factor keeps the element of poverty intact, and economic change in the lives of citizens remains a dream. Debt traps. Fourth major economic woe of Pakistan is debt traps. This term refers to the economic enslavement. Owing to rampant corruption which weakened the economy, Pakistan has for decades depended on international debts and monetary supports from states like USA, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. Not only that, Pakistan has repeatedly subscribed to the debt packages of institutions like International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank, WB. Pakistan has failed to pay back these debts and fell into the economic trap. Recommendations to address economic challenges. The above-mentioned economic challenges can be addressed by devising mechanisms to bring all citizens in tax net, reforming the loopholes in tax administration, initiating long-term corruption elimination drive, discouraging rule of profiteer politicians, practicing less dependence on foreign debts, and trying self-sufficiency. Conclusion. Economy is essential ingredient of a welfare state. Without strong economy and transparent economic matters, no nation can thrive. Pakistan has potential to be a welfare state, but for that economic challenges need to be addressed timely. Natural resources in Pakistan. Efficient use of natural resources can make Pakistan a prosperous nation. Discuss in the light of present situation of Pakistan. Introduction. In the contemporary state of affairs, the nation of Pakistan is marred with economic stagnation. The said problem serves as the root of many ills of Pakistan. The country has been continuously relying on debts and foreign aids without practically realizing the fact that efficient use of its own natural resources like coal, minerals, crops, and hot waters can make it prosperous. Natural resources in Pakistan. The term natural resources usually refer to all the material treasures naturally present within the territory of a state. These may include minerals, gold, coal, crops, hot waters, landscapes, and any other natural stuff that can be used in the benefit of the state. Pakistan has enormous natural resources. It possesses one of the world's largest salt mine. Further, it is the land of world's top coal reservoirs. Pakistan's Baluchistan region has unearthed a number of minerals along with natural gas reservoirs. Crude oil has also been extracted from several points in the geography of this country. Exploitation of natural resources. Natural resources are one of the determinants of state power, but not unless they are exploited in an efficient way. Exploitation of the natural resources provides a state leverage to enhance trade with other nations along with providing its own people with the natural facilities. For instance, Saudi Arabia is a nation that has well exploited the natural resource of its crude oil. The country has earned petrodollars to make itself one of the strongest economies of the region. Exploitation of natural resources can make Pakistan prosperous. Pakistan is rich in natural resources, but these have never made it a prosperous nation like Saudi Arabia and Qatar. The reason lies in following facts. Pakistan's government pays little attention towards such ventures. They mostly remain engaged in domestic political tussles and fighting wars for others at international level. Exploitation of natural resources requires spending money on talent, skilled workers, and drilling agencies. Governments in Pakistan hesitate to spend in this regard. This discourages talented experts of the field to work in Pakistan for the efficient exploitation of natural resources. Pakistan's youth is mostly engaged in traditional studies of arts like politics, sociology, and public administration. The country has little incentive and direction for the young ones to join technical fields like geology, engineering, and other such areas. This produces less technical experts in the educational institutions of the country. Owing to this fact, we lack skilled experts and ultimately depend on foreign help for exploitation of resources. That makes the exploitation inefficient and not in the interest of nations' prosperity. Corruption is another major reason behind inefficient exploitation of natural resources. The bureaucratic red tape involved in projects of exploitation of natural resources often discourage foreign companies to take less interest in Pakistan's assets. This in return turns our resources nothing but pile of waste hidden underneath. For better exploitation of resources, the state needs to take following steps. Introduce more technical degrees in educational institutions. Provide incentives to students to join technical programs of study. Train a generation of technical experts which can guide the nations for efficient use of natural resources. Allow foreign companies to work on natural resources of Pakistan without pressure and fear of being deprived them from the due share. Conclusion. Natural resources are an asset of the modern political and state system. A country rich in natural resources is center of attention. We can understand it from the OPEC nations. Efficient exploitation of these resources strengthens nations' economy and upholds its integrity. In any case otherwise, the state falls behind and depends on others.